All right, folks, you're listening to Table Talk here at the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world. That's right, over 12 and a half years strong. We got a great discussion coming your way on Table Talk this week as we dive into this Philadelphia Flyers season and what we may expect from them in the future. I'm Jeff Warren. I'm here with my guest this week to, again, talk about the Flyers and really get into some of the details, what's going on with this team. He is from brotherlypuck.com, the Brotherly Pod as well. You can listen to out there. We've got our good friend Daniel Esche. Daniel, how you doing, my friend?
Good to be back. Always good to talk hockey with someone else.
Absolutely. It's a fun season too still. I mean, the last time we talked, it was the same type of feeling. It was like, wow, team has been fun to watch. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it has been fun. And I guess to start off the discussion, I really want to get your take, Daniel, on the Tyson Foerster injury and really kind of what we have seen in terms of the fallout from that. Of course, he's going to be out months here, more at this point. But in terms of what we've seen from Rick Tocchet, how he's tried to essentially replace that productivity, I say, quote, replace that productivity. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on how this has or has not worked out thus far. I mean, please feel free to go into detail about it. I'd love to get your take here on this, man.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate one. That's one of those guys you just didn't want to lose this year and see if he can really grow beyond the confines that John Tortorella had him in as that two-way guy.
Yeah.
I when when we found out he was done, which was pretty quick afterwards, they called up Carl Grundstrom.
Yeah.
I mean, Barkey's here now, but that's because Dvorak went down.
Right.
Who is back already. So, I just, if you're losing a guy like this long term, you would want to see Barkey or Bump or one of these younger guys come up and kind of be coronated overnight, and become a star immediately. And that didn't happen yet. Hopefully, as the season goes on here, they kind of transition more towards that role. And it was just kind of the immediate, knee-jerk reaction to pull up a reliable guy instead of the future.
Right.
But now that we know that he's done, he just had surgery last week or something, which, hey, glad they found that out based on the Flyers staff medical-wise. They'll wait 6 months and then get surgery, and then he'll be out for the year. So hopefully this, he'll be back for next year. It sounds like he's done for the year unless a deep playoff run is made. So it's an unfortunate loss. I haven't been thrilled with the way they've tried to replace him yet, but hopefully as the season goes on.
That's what I was wondering. If you want to, if feel free to get into that too, because, we've seen different talent trying to, quote, take over that role. And it's just, it's almost impossible to replicate, of course. But do you think Rick Tocchet could be doing anything different here at this point? Would you like to see him do anything different?
I think there's only so much you can do with this current group. It's kind of the problem is you have quantity, but not necessarily quality of wingers.
Right.
They're all just kind of at the same level. And this was one of the John Tortorella problems of mixing lines, right? Every game was something new because they were so desperate to try and spark something.
Right.
But how many times can you mix these? All these guys have played with each other already. It's why someone like Denver Barkey comes in his first game and has 2 assists because he's fresh and new and different, and they can get a little bit of a vibe there. And which is why I was disappointed that we didn't see an Alex Bump call up or an immediate Barkey call up or something along those lines. Somebody that could be a little fresher, that could really kind of replace Foerster, that could help out Zegras, that could help carry some of this stuff. So, again, hopefully it's coming in time, but immediately here, I was not thrilled with the way they've tried to rebound without Foerster.
Yeah, I think you and I are on the same wavelength right there. And again, it's almost impossible to replicate it, but still disappointing aspects of what Rick Tocchet has done. We're going to get to Rick Tocchet, towards the end of our discussion. We're certainly going to get to him and what he has meant to this team in terms of him being the head coach, his very early tenure here in Philadelphia. But let's move on here because Flyers Nation, Daniel, has absolutely loved what one man in particular in Trevor Zegras has brought to the team. I mean, he continues to be the driving force of this Flyers offense. And he's not one sort of one trick pony type of player out there. His passing game has been pretty slick. He can beat goalies one-on-one. So I'm wondering, when you're watching Trevor Zegras out there, what kind of value do you think he's brought to the team during his short tenure as a Flyer? And what should our expectation be for him in the future this season and beyond here at this point?
Yeah, we went from a guy that, had 30 points and injury prone the last couple of years to, man, can he bounce back? To all of a sudden, it's, man, can he maintain an 85-point throughout the year? It's hard to overstate how good he has been.
Yes.
Thus far.
Yes.
He's just the driving force, leads the team in points, leads the team in goals by a hefty margin at this point.
Right.
He's so good. And can he keep it going? I sure hope so. He seems to be playing well with not the best line mates on paper. So, hey, if he can make it work, he can make it work. He's very, very good. And glad to see, the Flyers finally added somebody of substance. And yeah, he was more of a rehab project at the time, as I was alluding to, but it paid off. You got this guy for what, a second-round pick and Ryan Poehling?
Yes. And here's the thing, like the rehab projects usually don't seem to go that well here in Philadelphia. They usually don't. I mean, the percentage is really, really low in terms of these rehab projects really turning out to be something special. And I think that's what we're essentially seeing. I mean, we are seeing it in front of our eyes. I hope, and it's you know what it is? It's that Flyers are going to pull the rug out from under you mentality I think we've all had. I don't want this to be a blip on the radar, I don't want it to be Trevor Zegras is fooling all of us and he's just getting lucky or something. I don't think that's what it is, but I do wonder, like, for the future, what this really means for the rebuild, because we're gonna get into the fact that Danny Briere probably wants to bring in some top of the lineup type of acquisition at some point down the road. But Trevor Zegras, I think, is going to be a critical component of this rebuild as they're moving forward here.
Yeah, he turns 25 in March, I believe. So still on the young side, and obviously a pending RFA. So he'll be due a contract, and my guess is he's not going to sign anytime soon. He's going to wait and let that money build up. If he can do this for the rest of the year. But I mean, he's the guy that you want to build around now. He's at that age where you still got some mileage in him. He's not like the Konechny's and Sanheims of the world, which are now pushing 29 and 30. He buys you some years, brings the age down, can work with some of these other guys that are in the same age range. So yeah, he's a core piece for sure moving forward, especially if you can keep doing this.
It's amazing. It's amazing this has actually worked out the way that it really has too. And there's another core individual within this Flyers organization that we're watching this year, kind of scratching our heads, and that's Matvei Michkov. But what I think is interesting is that Bobby Brink in particular, and really want to focus on him, has had a very solid week this past week with his new line mates in Matvei Michkov and Noah Cates. And if I'm not mistaken, Bobby Brink could be looking at a career high this year in goals this season if he continues to play well, continues to keep developing and doing what he's doing on the ice. Daniel, what have you seen from Bobby Brink that we really should be looking at more in terms of his development here this season?
Yeah, Brink is a really interesting cat in the grand scheme of where this team is, because he's 1/3 of that like new Legion of Doom, right? The Noah Cates and Tyson Foerster and Brink. He's been a part of that line for like 2 years now, so he's a critical piece. But he's always kind of limited into more of the defensive side. When in reality, he's never really been tested in producing offense at the NHL level. So if he can continue to trend in this direction, now that he's gotten his feet wet at the NHL and he knows what he's doing, sooner or later they're gonna have to call him and be the top guy in this forward group, because that seems to be what they're doing, is cycling through everybody slowly but surely. So if he can keep doing this, that's great. He is also a pending RFA. If Briere will go down and go down the trade rabbit, I would be curious to see if he would be one of them. But overall, Brink continues to play well. Just overall, like you can't really ask much more from a third line winger most of the time.
Absolutely,
what he's doing there, and third on the team in goals right now with 9 after a 3-way tie for second with 10. So yeah, continues to be a very good, very overall solid pair of hands here for the Flyers.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, folks, we're talking to Daniel Esche from brotherlypuck.com. Check out the podcast as well, Brotherly Pod as well. And Daniel, let everybody know where they can find you on the interwebs out there if they want to connect with you. I know on Twitter/X, it's Dan the Flyera fan. It's still there, correct?
Yeah, still there for now. At Dan the Flyer fan, at Brotherly Puck, at Brotherly_pod is where you can find all of the rest of these this content.
Awesome. And if you are watching us, the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Hit that like button. Also, hit the bell to be notified when we post new videos. Very much would appreciate that. And we are also on various social sites as well. Search us out there. Just search out the Philadelphia Sports Table. You'll see us on Facebook. You'll see us over on Twitter/X, also Instagram. I'm over on the TikTok at Mr. Jeff Warren. Give us a follow over there. All right, folks, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, lots more Flyers talk coming your way. All right, we are here with our good friend, Daniel Esche. Dan, the Fly Era fan, as he has been known on Twitter for what seems to be like decades at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Great work they're doing over at brotherlypuck.com. And as we're moving along with the discussion here, Daniel, I mean, what stinks because of what he has done thus far in front of the net is the fact that Dan Vladar has gotten the injury bug here, and it's really unfortunate for this goalie situation. Now he has an upper body injury, which again, it stinks considering how well he has played in front of the net this season. Alexei Kolosov has now been called up from the Phantoms. So as I'm looking at Sam Ersson, looking at what some of these backup goalies may end up giving this team, there certainly is concern because Dan Vladar has absolutely surprised us throughout this season in terms of how he's been playing the goalie position. Should us fans be concerned with this injury and how it affects this overall goalie situation, short-term and even long-term? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it seems like they avoided anything long-term, thankfully. Yeah. But, man, when you have this kind of unicorn that comes out of nowhere and plays really well, I believe the last time I was on was the first few games of the season. We talked about, can he keep up this pace because of his small sample size per season?
Right.
And I believe this was a contact injury he got run into, and that's what happened here versus a play injury. But when you take this guy away, you're left with Sam Ersson, who has not been great.
No.
Alexei Kolosov, who is complete Joker card of his own.
Right.
It's not great. Kolosov has been much better in the AHL this year. I've been referring to him as Ilya Bryzgalov because he allows those softies every now and again that just shouldn't be happening, where your local beer leaguer would be like, "Why would you allow that goal?"
Yeah.
But so hopefully, we don't have to see a whole lot of him. But overall, Vladar has been much better than anybody anticipated. It's been going on for nearing the halfway point of the season already. So
yeah.
Hopefully it's not long-term and he's back and everything's good and he can pick right back up and this won't be a lingering problem. But yeah, but without Vladar, it's not a great picture with the goaltending in net because Ersson just can't seem to get it together.
Exactly. And I don't want this to be some sort of situation for this team. Again, like we talk a lot on this podcast platform about sports psychology and what certain injuries or certain adverse relationships or even positive relationships, how it can affect folks who are professional athletes playing on the ice, playing on the court, playing on the field, how that can affect the overall group of folks. And with this Vladar injury, I just don't want it, not that it's going to, but I just don't want it trickling down to some of these younger guys who are really trying to still find their place, still trying to develop. It really stinks in terms of possibly hindering this team with regard to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you take away the rock of this team, and then they're left to figure out what's left. And, this defense is young. This forward group is still relatively young.
Yep.
Yeah, without them and you allow a few softies, does it start messing with the psyche and whatnot? So
exactly.
Hopefully not. Hopefully, Vladar comes back and is fine and everything can continue on as it has been. But yeah, it's a valid point to look forward here over the next few weeks.
The defenders are really going to need to step up. I mean, certainly they've surprised us a lot throughout the course of this season for sure. And they need to still keep that up for sure with Vladar being out. But as we're moving along with this conversation here, Daniel, we know that Danny Briere wants to add some more top of the lineup talent down the road. I mean, he's essentially said so. And I have a feeling that we may see some kind of major acquisition before the trade deadline. It's being talked about in Flyer circles here and there. How do you see this potentially taking shape? I know you mentioned Bobby Brink before as possibly a piece that could be potentially moved at some point. And what do you think the Flyers might actually have to give up in terms of players or future assets to really take this rebuild to the next level as we're looking at 2026 right down the road here?
Yeah, Breer's going to have to do something this summer. And, we don't know who that is anymore. Quinn Hughes is now off the table and in a trade that they couldn't have afforded anyway. They have enough firepower to make a big trade or two. You've got draft picks. You got 2 first-rounders next year. I think you got 2 third-rounders next year as well. You got a main roster full of capable human beings that just need a boost from the outside.
Yep.
There's abundance of wingers. You got an AHL team full of prospects that you're probably never going to overly utilize on. You can make a big trade or two.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is right now. The rumor mill hasn't been great. The free agent pool dried up in 26 and all this stuff that, it's a real bad time to want to work up the courage to go make a trade just because there hasn't been that overwhelming target.
Right.
The Quinn Hughes rumors were there for a little while, but Minnesota paid through the nose to acquire him. The Flyers just could not have matched that deal the way that Minnesota set that deal up. They don't have a Marco Rossi. They don't really have a Z William. I mean, maybe Andre if you want to be generous, but it was hard to match. So we'll see. But this is the year. This is the summer that Breer needs to do something, whether it be the deadline or the offseason, whatever. Whatever happens this season, make the playoffs, miss the playoffs, eliminated in the first round, whatever, does not matter. You need to go into the summer and you need to take it seriously. This is the time to add. This is the time to take a step forward. You got lucky with Zegras last year as a rehab project.
Yep.
You need another. Get rid of some of these wingers, add a center, see what you got, and try and build This is the kind of thing that really, really needs to happen this year.
Yeah.
So hopefully Breer can work up the courage to get it done.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the center position because I think initially we all thought, and I would have thought the Flyers would have thought that Trevor Zegras was going to be just coming in as like center position. I think
you would think,
maybe after 3 games, basically 3 or 4 games, Rick Tocchet is like, no, we're keeping him out, keeping him out there. Really, I mean, we all thought Zegras was going to be that center, perhaps of the future in terms of the rehab project. Ended up going a different way. I'm still happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm still happy that it's worked out the way that it has. But great points for sure. Great points for sure. Look, Daniel, before I let you go, my friend, we got to talk about Rick Tocchet because a lot of us have been talking about him during this first year as Flyers head coach, trying to analyze him, his decision-making, his in-game decision-making as well. He's been good. He's also made some really questionable decisions as well from time to time. It's been a roller coaster with him so far. Is Rick Tocchet the right coach at this time for this Flyers team? I know that's a very pointed question, but if you've had time to think about that, do you think he is the right coach at this time for this Flyers team?
The answer is probably not.
Okay.
In a lot of ways, and I've been referring to him as John Tortorella with a happy face because it seems to be, stylistically, it's very similar, right? It's a boring game. It's very defensive, which is fine. You can win that way, but you got to have those electric players really kind of step up. And with the exception of Zegras, that hasn't happened. And they haven't really put guys in positions to do that.
Especially Matvei Michkov.
Yeah, exactly. Michkov being the most notable guy. If we're going to play him for, 12 minutes a night, just above what Nick Delorier is getting. It's they're making it work. Is this a new coach bump? I don't even know if you can call it that. They're kind of getting lucky. How many games this year have been a true dominant win from the Flyers? I can think of 2.
Probably
one of them, I
yeah.
believe, was against the Sabres.
Right.
Is it you're winning these games, you're getting lucky, you're getting the overtime and the shootout and all this stuff that historically they haven't been very good at. It's not nothing, but just being good in a shootout help you come playoff time.
Right.
The answer is no.
Right.
It's luck. It's great. It's going to look good on paper, but is he doing the right thing? Is this the guy for right now? I just don't think so. And, we'll see. The
time will tell. Yes.
And, it's not entirely Tocchet's fault. I mean, it's Danny Briere's job to call up Alex Bump, right?
Yeah,
He's the one that has to make the decisions to give Tocchet the best chance to succeed, but it's Tocchet's job to play, Matvei Michkov a reasonable amount of ice time every night.
Exactly.
Which he's not doing. So I have not been thrilled with this guy yet. It's been too much of the same for a team that just desperately needs a nice 180, a nice fresh offensively dynamic, forward thinking, almost like Peter Laviolette. You know, if you can bring in 2010, 2009, whatever it was, Peter Laviolette that can come in and do this thing, that would be significantly better. I think that's what this team needs, is just shot in the arm of some jam back in the day versus this very boring. I mean, they're like 250 shots on goal below Carolina and Colorado.
I know.
Like something just insane number that shouldn't be like feasible. So it's working now if you're looking at just acquiring points and wins. But if you want to actually build something sustainable, build a playoff caliber team, I'm not sure this is the guy to do it at this point in time.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our Table Talk interview show this week. Again, folks, Daniel Esche from brotherlypuck.com, the Brotherly Puck podcast, Brotherly Pod. Check out everything they have going on over there. Again, brotherlypuck.com. And at Dan the Fly Era Fan over on the Twitter/X. My friend, it's always great talking to you. Seriously, I love our conversations. Come back down the road. Join us. I'd love to have you back on the show, my friend.
Yeah, for sure. I love making appearances on the show. I'll be back anytime you need me, Jeff.